I'm going to show you how you can use ClickUp as a ticketing solution. This is going to be a walkthrough of a list in ClickUp, and it's going to use features that are available in the unlimited plan with some extra fees or completely included inside of the business plan. This ticketing list uses a traditional list view, a board view, and then the form view in ClickUp. Our goal here is to create a ticketing system that allows multiple employees to communicate out of one help desk email and out of one help desk to track tickets as they move from the inbox through to the complete stage of the workflow. And it's also going to help the team members to classify tickets, their urgency levels, and communicate internally as well as externally. Let's take a look at what's inside of this list. Inside of the list, of course, we're going to make use of the statuses, the assignee field. Dates can be effective and due dates can be effective at communicating when an end user should hear back from your team, as well as when we hope to close a ticket. The setup for this ticket requires the primary contact custom field. It's a regular text field, and this can be populated either by hand for somebody who receives a ticket, or you can use an automation. I use make.com to take a look at Office 365's directory, but you could do the same with Google directory so that every time a ticket is submitted with an email address, you can query that directory and find a contact's name. There's a contact email field. Again, this is an email type of field, and that's essential. The ticket label, you'll notice that I've modeled what it looks like to use essentially a prefix or a standard naming convention so that we can sort all of our options and all of our labels, and subcategories are featured in one label field instead of having a primary label and a secondary label. This is completely up to you. There is no way in ClickUp for us to create an additional field that only provides specific options based off of another field. So we wouldn't be able to create a ticket label called hardware and then a sub label that would only show hardware options. So I often recommend merging that information into one. And then, of course, ticket type. This is a single select drop down as opposed to a label. Let's get into how this works. A ticket can be submitted to ClickUp in a number of ways. To leverage emailing a centralized help desk email address, for example, helpdesk@stackery.co, what you can do is to set up an email forwarder with your email domain service. So if you're using Outlook, you can auto forward emails and do that setup in Exchange. If you're using Google, you can also set up an auto forwarding if this is a user account. But finally, if you have a domain registrar, you can update your records there where you can create an email address that auto forwards to the ClickUp email address. ClickUp allows us to create new tasks inside of a list using an email address. So in order to find that email address, you'll need to click on the three dots next to the name of a list. You can do that in the sidebar or here at the top, and then select email to list. Now I've got mine pre-configured to copy that email address to my clipboard. But if you haven't already set that up, you'll see a dialog and it'll pop up and it'll give you the option to copy that email address and set up an auto forwarding. When an email is sent to the help desk, it will look like this. You will see the email address that sent the email at the beginning of the description, and then you'll see the subject line as well as the actual body of whatever the email was. So in practice, what this could look like then is your team copying that email address into the email field below, as well as recording the name of that contact. In my workflow, I've got an inbox status, a triaged, then in progress, waiting, and complete status. I've decided for my workflow that what I would like for my team to do is to review all tickets in the inbox. And then once we finish filling in required fields, such as the priority level of a ticket, who it might be assigned to, and estimated due date for the ticket, as well as giving it some, definition. What platform is it associated with? Is it a question or a concern? And then who sent the ticket? Now this ticket is ready to move out of the inbox. So I've created some automations that will run. And the first automation that you see here that's running is that we're going to check the auto response because the status has moved from inbox to triaged. Our auto response checkbox is actually now linked to another automation that sends an email to the end user. This is going to be our confirmation of receipt email. So this is what it looks like to set up an automation in ClickUp that sends an email. Unfortunately, we can't set up a full automation of multiple steps whenever we're sending an email. So that's why I've got two separate automations, one that checks the auto response and then another that sends the auto response. So here the conditions are if the auto response field is checked and the status is triaged, then we'll send an email. We can use all our custom fields inside of the automation. So in the to field, I've put my contact email field. But inside of the actual email itself, I can leverage other custom fields. So I use the task ID as the actual ticket ID in the system. It cuts down on the need to do a lot more work. But ClickUp task IDs are not exactly easy to say. So you might find yourself using custom uh, task IDs inside of your space and inside of this list. One thing to know is that ClickUp does not allow you to have a different naming schema in two different lists that leverage the custom task IDs. So that's one of the reasons why I often just use existing ClickUp task IDs. My subject line will say a new ticket with the task ID, and it'll include the name that's been selected or edited for the ticket. And inside of the email body, we can use other fields like the name of the person because we created that custom field, primary contact. And we can type out a pre-templated response to let someone know we've received their ticket. I'm saving this configuration. So my list now again has two automations. One that checks to see whether or not we've changed the status into triage and whether or not we've already sent the auto response, because we wouldn't want to send it more than once. If we have sent the auto response, then we won't trigger a new one. But if we haven't, we check the box. And now we can send that automated email. This automated email is a part of our workflow because it guarantees that we can initiate communication with an end user coming out of ClickUp about their ticket. And then subsequent communication can be replies to that email. As we all know, sending an email to a list will create a new record in the list or create a new ticket, a new task. So we don't want someone to send a new email about an existing ticket. By initiating an auto response email, it creates the thread that you can use as a team to communicate back and forward with someone about their ticket. So this help desk setup allows end users to email to submit tickets, but we also want to configure a form so that people can use this form as a way to submit structured information. We're using the form view in ClickUp where we can add specific fields from our ticketing help desk list. We've got a question for the email address. We're setting up the ticket type as one of the form fields. And then we're allowing the end user to indicate what platform or what hardware is involved in their ticket. In this case, I've requested that the end user share about their issue in the task description because I think that that's easier to read when you're a member of the help desk, just looking to the description there. And of course, we want our end users to communicate what they think the priority level is, just so that when we're receiving the ticket, we have a sense for when they expect a response. But we might make changes to that as we ourselves triage the ticket. And you can add an attachment field inside of your form so that your users can submit attachments or screenshots at the initial point of submitting their ticket. So this is what the form in ClickUp would look like. You can make additional visual changes. For example, I like the idea of this field being full width. You can add reCAPTCHA to your form as well. And if you'd like, you could actually have all custom field responses appear inside the description as well. And that could be helpful if you have additional automations running that affect your custom fields. Okay. So this is what it looks like now that we've made all questions full width. Once you publish this form and it goes from inactive to active, you can take this link and you can share it, you can bookmark it, you can add it to SharePoint or put it in a company intranet in Notion or Coda. You can share it publicly with anyone who works in the company. You can even create a QR code so that people can scan and submit tickets if they're struggling with a particular piece of hardware. So there are multiple ways to visualize your help desk in ClickUp. In a list view, one of my preferred ways of grouping and visualizing tickets is to group them by that estimated due date and then to sort them by priority level. This helps keep an eye on what tickets we hope to close in a certain time frame and how to prioritize urgent and then high priority tickets as you reach a close timeline for them. Another very popular way to visualize your tickets could be a board view that groups tickets by priority, especially when you're allocating additional resources, additional personnel. You might have team members who are responsible for certain urgent type of tickets, like security breaches, whereas other team members, maybe you're onboarding a new team member or you have an entry level help desk team member, they may be assisting you with normal and lower priority tickets. So you can group and create multiple views in a ClickUp help desk to assist you with tracking what needs to be done, the priorities that they need to be done, the priority. You can use multiple views in ClickUp to assist you with grouping information to make it easier to prioritize execution, as well as keep an eye on what's moving through the help desk. One of the things that I like a lot about using ClickUp as a help desk solution is that you might run into a situation where somebody has submitted a ticket in multiple places, or they maybe want to check in on a ticket, but they break that expected behavior to be to reply to an existing email and they send another email. In ClickUp, it's very easy to merge tasks. So the expected behavior for your help desk team would be to merge tickets here. And by merging the two tasks inside of this board, you have now merged another request or another ticket into the original, which keeps continuity of communication regarding the issue, whether or not there were at some point multiple tickets about the same issue. To answer the overarching question, can you use ClickUp as a help desk? You can. And it's actually one of the reasons why I recommend ClickUp to organizations that have multiple departments who have different needs. And one of them is for a help desk. I think that ClickUp can be a great solution for organizations that are looking for a platform that can handle HR related tickets and IT related tickets, as well as general customer service. ClickUp and the email in ClickUp feature make it possible for you to have a thread of communication with the end user in the same place that you're tracking information about what the issue is, how you intend to resolve it, and any other internal collaboration you might have with your help desk team. When you forward emails into ClickUp using the email to list feature, it makes it possible for you to submit tickets via email to the help desk. I've also leveraged applications like make.com or Zapier to allow for Teams messages and Slack messages to also trigger the creation of a new ticket. And of course, you can leverage forms and ClickUp to have a ticket submission form, which you can then link to in multiple places or use things like QR codes to make more accessible. There's not a lot you can't do in ClickUp. And I don't always recommend ClickUp for everything, but Help Desk is a great reason to use ClickUp.